Hey guys, Pedro here to tell you about the latest from Celestial Wizard, Regenesis, out July 11th on Scarlet Records. The album has 10 tracks, 46 minutes in length, and this is the band's third full-length studio album. They are an American metal band. The first element that impressed me about this record was the design of the album. It's a very cohesive and coherent design. This is an album that doesn't have a prototype, if you will, as far as song experiences are concerned. There is a lot of versatility throughout this record. There's a lot of commonalities. So creating an album experience that enhances the versatility of the sound while minimizing what brings it all together creates a very fluid, a very seamless experience as far as going from first all the way to the last song. This obviously adds playability not just to the overall record, but to the individual songs as well. Once you get into the sound of the album, I already mentioned the word versatility, and this album definitely has that, at least in the outcome of the songs, in the atmosphere that each song provides. But there is a sense of commonality, and I think that is the guitar sound on this album. This is definitely a guitar focus, a guitar-centric, a heavy guitar-centric album, top to bottom. That doesn't mean that the guitars always sound the same or always feel the same. The album has that versatility of sound because it comes from the influences of the sound itself, either a little bit more thrash, a little bit more melodic death metal, a little bit more power metal. This album really uses a wide array of influences to dictate the direction of each and every single song, but regardless of which direction the songs take, the guitars are always in the forefront. The guitars play a very important role in what this album is all about, from sound to the atmosphere that that sound creates. And this is a great aspect of the record because the record, guitar-wise, is very strong. It has great experience, great sound, great quality. So allowing that one element to dominate when it's one of your strongest elements is playing to your strengths, not towards your weaknesses. The only aspect of this record sound-wise that I would have liked to see a little bit different is the impact of the drums. I felt like an album like this, with this guitar focus, with this guitar-centric experience, could have used a little bit more, not necessarily heaviness, but definitely volume and size as far as the drums are concerned. Certain tracks you hear it and you feel it, especially when the drums get a little bit heavier, adding to the overall heaviness of the tracks. But in songs where there's a lot more room for the tracks to breathe, where the guitars are a little bit lighter in terms of how they move, even a little bit more melodic, the drums lose a little bit of that emphasis, and therefore the song, while on one hand feeling like it still has a lot of size, it also feels like there's not a lot of substance within that same size. And I think that's an aspect that both drums and bass could have really helped create a more of a full experience all around, and while having the guitars in the forefront, not having them as separated from everything else as they currently sit. It's still a very strong album musically, sonically, impressive, I would go as far as to say, but I could really feel at times a lack of connection between the bottom end of the sound of the record and the top end of the sound. You could still have them separated from one another, but you need to add something in between that makes that experience feel a lot more compact while expending it all the time. That's perhaps the only shortcoming of this album, and I feel like that's also something that the production of the album could have helped a lot more in order to minimize this sort of gap that exists. As far as the vocals are concerned, super dynamic, very fitting in terms of the style of the songs, the mood of the songs, and overall atmosphere of the songs. I love the dynamics between the clean vocals and the heavier, harsher vocals, but even within the harsher range, the levels of intensity and melancholy change depending on the track, depending on the overall mood, the overall influence of the song. This makes the overall vocal performance a lot more dynamic, makes it more engaging, and makes it better connected with the idea behind the song. Not taking a one-size-fits-all approach for an album with this kind of versatility works extremely well. With all of this said and done, this is a great record, really surpassing all of my expectations coming in. It's an album that has a lot of great sounds, it has a lot of great hooks, it has a lot of great choruses, and it has a lot of great guitar playing. From the solos to the melodies to the leads, the riffs, this album has a lot more to offer from a quality standpoint than it does in terms of what takes away from that same quality. So great record by Celestial Wizard. Now, as far as favorite songs are concerned, I want to start off with Fangbearer. I love the fact that this track really simmers as it opens, and then it moves it into this ripping riff that adds a certain level of aggression and intensity to the song. Then it's definitely matched by the vocal performance as well. Now, it has more of an open melodic chorus, and I think that's a nice change that brightens up the song, that opens up the song, and it's a complete switch from that more intense and aggressive verses that the track offers. It's a guitar riff driven song. It really dominates the track, it really controls the track, and even once you get into the chorus, it's still heavy focus on the guitars, allow that to become more emphasized and definitely allow the chorus to pop even more. The drums on this song at times hit pretty hard, and when they hit pretty hard, you're kind of reminded of how far they are from the rest of the sound for most of this record. You honestly could have used a little bit more of that, not necessarily from a heaviness standpoint, but by bringing those two sounds a little bit closer together. Great track, both musically and vocally. Then we have Into the Abyss, a ripping song, drums and guitars really working well together, perhaps minimizing a little bit of the gap that exists between them. And when you start to minimize that gap, the song feels stronger, it feels more together, it feels more cohesive. It offers a much better experience. That in this track, it also adds a lot of darkness to it. This is definitely a song that has a dark ambiance in terms of how it focused the melodies and the guitar sounds mixed in with the drums, and then obviously the vocal performance behind it, almost offering a little bit more of a melodic death metal style approach to the track, both on the vocal side and on the musical side. It's a great track with a great solo. The solo on this song really emphasizes the high level of guitar work that this album offers, and it becomes the cherry on top of the cake, if you will. Last but not least, Emerald Eyes. I would go as far as to say that this is definitely a ballad, strong ballad, the main ballad of the record, if you will. And I love the mood of this song because it's a ballad that develops into something a little bit bigger, a little bit heavier. It's a prototypical metal ballad when you think of old school metal bands, an old school approach to this genre, to this style of song, and to this kind of execution. You start super mellow, super stripped down. With every verse, with every chorus, the track builds up, becoming bigger, heavier, more potent, bigger volume, and then it just really has this forward motion to it, but also upwards motion as well. So it grows and develops as it progresses. Another track with a great solo section, once again emphasizing the overall quality and execution of guitar playing that this album offers top to bottom. This is it, Celestial Wizard with Regenesis, once again out July 11th on Scarlet Records. Let me know your thoughts on the band. Hit me up in the comment section. I'll see you all in the next video. Take care, guys.